And we'll now go to our action agenda. And I would entertain a motion under our executive session for employment, selected employment items 2A. That's the only action we need. Have a motion? Ms. Hutchison.
I move that we approve the selected employment items as shown in Exhibit A.
Have a second? Ms. Hammond seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand, and that passes unanimously. And that brings us to item 13, which is a second and final reading proposed administrative rule KBE-R, relations with parent organizations, shown in Exhibit C. Do I have a motion? Ms. Hutchison?
Yes, I move that we give second and final reading of proposed administrative rule KBE-R, relations with parent organizations as shown in Exhibit C.
Have a second? Mr. Halterlonger seconds, and then we can have discussion. Ms. Hutchison.
I made the motion so we could have the discussion, and I do appreciate Dr. Waldman bringing up some of these concerns. I know we all realize how involved she has been with SIC throughout all of these years, from elementary, middle school, and high school. So I really do respect the input that she has made. So I would like to recommend that we table the vote and hold off on this and talk to Dr. Waldman further and see what else we can find out with regards to making sure all the organizations do know what's going on. And I can't remember, I believe we talked about the 501c3 status. I can't remember what we talked about, but I believe that there was some discussion of how the district would help. And so I'd like to know, we need to communicate that. And I think with regards to page 2, if tax exempt status is desired, I thought we had removed that clause back some time, realizing that it was contradicting the number 5. I remember us going back and forth about having some sort of, that there was a contradiction.
Ms. Richardson, can you shed any light? You thought it'd been...
You are correct. It should have been removed from the. Excuse me. I think that was in our first reading when we caught that, and I'm not sure why it's back in here, but it should have been removed. I will tell you that we have scheduled an in-service to go over this with our parent organizations on May 3rd, and the first part of that was going to be helping these organizations that don't currently have they aren't currently incorporated or 501c3. We were going to help them with a little guidance on what they needed to do there, and hopefully have some templates for them to help save money when they went through that process.
Ms. Hutchison.
So will there be a charge? Is there a filing fee charge for the groups, or if we are able to help them with the forms?
I know there's a filing fee with the Secretary of State. I think a lot of the costs that are associated with it are usually with attorney fees, and that's where we were going to try to help save some of the costs there. I think there are some filing fees. I don't know how much they are.
Is that something that you can bring back to the board for us to take a look at?
Certainly can.
Okay.
Mr. Kent,
Ms. Hammond.
I concur with what she said, but I'm curious about, is this policy where we did not allow, someone that was actually an employee to serve, is this I'd just like to know whoever this was initiated, is that something that's new? Because, I don't remember this ever being an issue before. So is this something new we've written in here in the last few years to when you updated this policy?
Well, actually, there's been nothing to address that. Typically, what you want is not having employees that are members of these organizations handling money or signing checks. And unfortunately, with most of these groups, all of your officers are either handling money, counting money, or signing checks. So that's why we went beyond just the treasurer and made it all officers.
And have we had, I guess I'm trying to find a little history here. Over the years, has that become something that is an uncomfortable thing for employees, and it's caused some type of problem that you felt to come to us with this, you know, I'm trying to get the history of why this is important to even to have been put in here.
Well, it's done to protect our employees, number one, and you will find many districts do prohibit that. Not necessarily all officers, but
the money
treasurer, the aspect, the financial aspect of it, we do, and I think that's a good plan.
You do that. I think that's what I was getting at. What is your, you know, the reasoning in it, so that we as a board can hear that?
Well, I just feel like you may have a conflict. I mean, I've been asked, you know, I help with a couple of organizations, and I've been asked on occasion because of what I do, to handle money, and,
Right.
and I refuse every time. I just don't think it's a good situation to have our employees in.
Thank you.
Ms. Hutchison?
Well, it seems to me that perhaps, unless we hear otherwise, that it would be appropriate to keep the financial, no district employee shall serve in a financial capacity, but make the sentence in there and delete the part where it refers to or prohibits an employee from serving as an officer in the other organizations. So that would be my recommendation, is that we cut it at financial capacity.
I think I could, I mean, I think if that would cover what their worry and concern is. And I certainly want to do, and Dr. Hefner, you might give some insight from all of your years of experience. If you do feel like it's very important to protect employees as far as the treasury and the money.
One of the reasons for this is the protection of our employees. And again, one of the major reasons for proposing this, as we discussed, remember this when we had a session on before we even did the discussion reading, is to make sure that we stay in compliance with all federal and state reporting requirements. So that's one of the goals, but we also wish to protect our parent organizations themselves. You recall the discussion where I believe Mr. White had said that if the organizations are not incorporated, then the people handling the money should really be reporting money on their own income tax. So it's an effort to protect the people who work in these organizations as well. I recognize this is a thing where we probably may need to make some, refinements. But I think the ultimate goal remains the same. We want to protect the people who are out there doing great things on behalf of our schools and our organizations, and we also wish to protect our district.
And
Ms. Hutchison,
I'm
just
sorry.
for the benefit of the group, I've attended a lot of the Parents Advisory Cabinet's meetings where they've discussed this pretty extensively, and it's unfortunate something was taken out, got back in to that, and I think there's some merit in everything that's been said. And I think the overriding, I've watched the group evolve into realizing it's a protection for them, and I do remember Mr. White saying this, very good advice on his part. I'd like to ask the administration, if this were to be tabled, brought back on the 9th, do you see that as a problem for anything that we're trying? We know the May the 3rd is the workshop that's planned,
I
but
don't know if there's a problem with that, pose a problem with the workshop.
Well, yeah, I would prefer that we have a final product before we actually have the workshop, so we'll be giving the correct
But could-
information.
Could the workshop be delayed? or-
Yes, yes. The only thing that, is that we're pushing it so late into the year, as much time as we can give these organizations to prepare.
I would just state, I think it's very, we're very grateful to people who give of their time and their efforts to assist in organizations, and this one's been taken far more time than most of our policies do. But if it takes another 2 weeks to iron out the wrinkles, and we take our people with us, and we are of one mind, I think that's certainly well worth the delay.
I agree. Ms. Hutchison?
I was wondering if I need to make an amendment to the motion
Well, you
to
actually-
table it.
There's a motion to approve.
Right.
You could, We could vote that up or down, or you could withdraw it, and then you could make an amendment, or you could make another motion to table, possibly.
Can I make just an amendment instead of, I'd really like just to make an amendment to table the motion. Is that proper? What's the,
Or do we vote
No,
it
I
down?
think you have to,
I think we have to vote it down.
Yeah.
And then do that. You gotta vote.
you could withdraw that motion. I think that's, I think Ms. Hutchison could
That's right.
so if we have a motion to table, that would take care of the whole, okay. Why don't you make a second motion? Make a motion to table, and
Okay.
we'll go that route.
I move that we table the vote on this policy until further review.
Okay. Have a second?
I say,
Mr. Haltermacher, second. Any further discussion? I think we're all in agreement, Dr. Waldman, thank you for bringing this to our attention. And the intent is to protect people that give so much, and we don't want anybody to get out there on a volunteering and getting in trouble. We hadn't voted yet, but Ms. Hutchison.
And just one final thing, I don't really see any problem, I might just be wrong, but having this at the session, the training session, just saying this is the policy, this is what is going before the board, and this group may see something else that we haven't noticed. What would you think about that?
Mr. Richardson's made the arrangements for the training session. That could be potentially a time that it would get another level of review. Are you okay with that, or would you just want to delay your training?
My preference would be to delay it till we had a final product, because I think the time that we need to spend on helping these groups understand what they've got to do, I'd hate to see it taken up with trying to change the policy. I just think it would be we are paying folks to come here, I guess, and I'd hate for us to waste that time.
So if it's possible, we would just delay the training.
Sounds like a good plan. We have a motion to table, have a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor of the motion? And that passes unanimously. So we'll table it till hopefully the next time we meet. All right, that brings us to item number 14, the request for rezoning of Shoals Landing property shown in Exhibit D. Do I have a motion? Ms. Baumgartner.
I move that we rezone Shoals Landing property as shown in Exhibit D.
We have a second.
I'll second.
Ms. Hammond seconds. Is there any discussion? I wanted to thank the administration for fully researching this, and Mr. Wiseman looking at those bus patterns, and I think the recommendation was right on the mark. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. And that passes unanimously. And that brings us to our discussion agenda